What does fit mean to you, and how do you define fitness?
Ability to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, without second guessing yourself.
The biggest myth being sold in the fitness industry today.
Women should not lift weights. I even get upset with some of my students today when they say, oh, we played paddle for 3 hours. Good, I'm happy, you moved, you played a sport, but why 3 hours?
Social media and friends driving you nuts saying, listen man, do high intensity interval training, no, do calisthenics, no, do yoga. Pilates changed my life. There's a new thing called high rocks now, which people are going nuts over. I'm going nuts over hearing all these different types of workouts.
The world of fitness changed in 2009. That was when the CrossFit wave started. If I'm not dying means I've not had a great workout. That's the mentality that people now have.
Ice baths, yes or no? If so, how often?
Not a fan.
Unless you lived under a rock since the pandemic, you've heard of the fitness company Sohfit. This is the company that has transformed community workouts in India. They have made you feel FOMO for not attending their boot camps when you see them on Instagram. The founder who I am interviewing today has trained Alia Bhatt. He works with the Mumbai Indians. And most importantly, he has transformed the lives of thousands of people. So I'm very excited to interview him today. My guest, Sohrab Khushrushahi. Sohrab, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. That was a really sweet introduction.
Yes, but it's true, and the journey of Sohfit has been amazing. But what inspires me is not Sohfit's journey, it's your journey. Because 10 years ago, you were not doing anything in the fitness space. You were a lawyer. And then suddenly you made a decision that you want to pursue your passion. Now, that's something that a lot of people struggle with. It's something that a lot of people want to do, but they don't end up doing. So tell me about how you thought about it and what was the turning point that made you decide, I'm going to go for it.
I mean, well, I've been obsessed with fitness since I was 13, 14 years old. I think growing up, playing cricket in this country, I had a way of looking at it. I said, I'm not the most talented cricketer. I knew that. But I could be the most hard-working cricketer, and I could also be the fittest cricketer around. At that time, fitness wasn't looked at the way it's looked at today because of Mr. Virat Kohli. So we give him all the credit in the world. So I started training at the age of 13 or 14 because I wanted to get better at my sport. So I was obsessed with fitness. I was obsessed with trying new things. And back then, you really didn't have someone who was going to coach you, right? You made mistakes, you got injured, you learned, you moved on, and you kind of worked on yourself. I was sitting with my friends one day. I must have been 26 or 27 years old. I have no clue. And we were sitting in my house, in my living room, and we were chatting. And I said, you know what, guys, I want to do something in the fitness space. I see myself doing X, Y, and Z. And after 2 minutes, these are my boys. These are boys I've grown up with, right? They just looked at me and they laughed. And they're like, are you mad? You're a lawyer. You're making so much money. You've got a family. Like, what are you thinking? Just stop, right? So I gave that up completely. Moved to Singapore, worked, came back, was working in a firm called Trilegal in India, and I was going to make partner, right? I think it was a moment. I can't really put a finger to it. Like, I knew I wanted to make the switch because law wasn't making me happy. I didn't want to wake up in the morning. I think that's what people talk about when they talk about depression and stuff. I didn't want to wake up in the morning. I didn't want to go to work. I wanted to sleep all the time. I had my managing partner come to me one day and said, we need to go for lunch. And I'm sitting with him and he's like, so you're going to be the next capital markets partner of the firm. We're going to put your name up. And as a young kid, when you're working, that's what you work for, right? What else are you working for as a lawyer? You want to make partner in your law firm. It didn't make me happy. And he looked at me and he said, you're not happy. I said, no, I'm happy. I mean, I guess he expected me to be more excited. At that point in time, I just couldn't get myself to get excited about it. So I went home from that lunch and I sat down with my wife and I was like, you know what? This doesn't click anymore. It's not what I thought it would be, and it doesn't make me feel the way I thought I would feel. This is what I've worked my entire life for. And she said, so what do you want to do? Right? I said, listen, I've been thinking about being in the fitness space. I've been thinking about helping people for a while. Why don't I explore that? Right? Why don't I kind of go down that route and try something different? She obviously didn't buy it at that point in time. It's difficult, right? You come from, you have a kid. When I was 26, 27, having this conversation with my friends for the first time, I had no responsibilities, just the two of us. Now I have a kid. And we're sitting down together. We're like, okay, let's think about this. Let's take our time. But that was it. That was my moment. Before that, I thought about it 1,000 times. I'd spoken to people about it 1,000 times. People I trusted, like my family. And I have to give Danish credit. Danish is my wife. I have to give her a lot of credit. Not once did she question it. Not once did she say, are you crazy? Like, why are you doing this? It was, okay, if this is what you want to do and this is going to make you happy, then we'll make it work. So that was my moment in a nutshell in terms of stepping away.
Yeah, it's pretty inspiring because I think a lot of people go through that. I want to pursue my passions, but I'm afraid to take that risk. So it's quite an interesting story. But you moved into fitness. Now, fitness is, it's a difficult space because there's a trust element involved, right? Yeah. It's not like, you're selling a product where someone can buy one time and if they don't like it, they'll just won't buy it again. Usually when someone is signing up with a fitness trainer, instructor, or a nutritionist, they're references, right? What have you worked with this guy? Has he done it? Does he know what he's doing, right? So what were the early days like of Sohfit? I can't imagine those were easy.
Never easy when you start something from scratch. And people talk about starting something at a certain age. I started at 35, right from scratch, right? There I'll give Mr. Ajay Piramal a lot of credit. He's been my mentor. He's someone I speak to about my decisions. Even when I kind of left Bombay and went to Singapore to work, he was the first person I spoke to. I was having a conversation. I said, Ajay uncle, I want to meet you. I want to talk to you about certain things. And he thought I was talking to him about, making partner work, this, that, and the other. He said, come over. I went with Danish. We sat down together and I was like, Ajay uncle, I have to tell you something. He's like, what? So I told him, this is what I want to do. I want to switch. I swear to God, I thought he was going to throw me out. He's like, don't be dumb. Just, you can't do this. To my surprise, he said, I will be your first student. And that's a vote of confidence that every young guy needs, right? When they start off and someone you've kind of looked at as your mentor, someone who's really big in the world of business, says, I will be your first student. So he was my first student. Wow. Officially my first student. And I remember I used to go train him at 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, because that's how he gets up. He's very disciplined in that sense. Possibly the best person I've trained in that sense. We started with boot camps when no one really was doing them in Bombay. Not at 7 in the morning. It was unheard of, right? I think the first 2 or 3 months, we literally had 3 people walk in. 2 of them were my buddies. They walked in and they said, come, we'll support you, right? I remember in the 3rd month or 4th month, Danish had a conversation with me and she's like, so are you sure about this? We've left everything. We have Ajay uncle as our client or our student. We have maybe a couple more who kind of heard of So. And, no one's showing up for class. What are we going to do? I was, let's give it 1 more month. That was my thing in my head. I was like, let's just give it 1 more month. And then things changed. People started showing up. People started talking. And that's always been my philosophy. Don't go around talking about yourself. Let people talk about you. Good, bad, ugly, whatever, let them talk about you. And then suddenly in December, Jan, I don't remember, we had like 15 people walking through the door for a camp. And I was like, wow, okay, this is fun.
What year was this?
It was 2018, Jan. Okay. And I was like, okay, not bad. We're doing something. But it's easy to let people walk in. Can you keep them? I remember when we started out, the first 6 months, 8 months, everyone spoke about us being a cult. Right? You're a cult. You're part of a cult. And it will die down.
You're right? A Sohfitter. I remember that.
Yeah, term. So yeah. That was my term. I used to call everyone a Sohfitter. But everyone called us a cult. Right? And I was like, we're not. We're just people who train together. We'll create this community. And I will make sure this community stays together. Right? And for me, that was the biggest challenge. Today, 8 years later, people are still there. The ones who came in on day 1 are still there 8 years later. That means we've done something right in that space. So for me, that's important. And what we've tried to create is that community. For me, Sohfit is the community. It's not me. It's not the coaches. It's the community.
Yeah, it's a pretty strong community. I mean, your loyalists are your loyalists. I mean, it's one strong political party, I'll tell you that. People, I want to talk about fitness because obviously this is your space, and it's so weird because people define fitness in so many different ways. The number of kilometers you can run, how much you can lift in the gym. For professional athletes, I talk a lot about match fitness
Yeah.
because that's very different from any other kind of fitness. What does fit mean to you, and how do you define fitness? And has that definition evolved from the time that you were just someone who worked out to now where you are a fitness instructor and run a fitness company?
I mean, I guess your definition for fitness changes as you grow older. Also depends on who you're training, right? What is fitness to different people? You say, for example, the athletes. For them, fitness is the ability to perform on the field. That is fitness. If they're fit enough to do that, good enough. For the average Joe, and I look at, I think everyone's an athlete. Right? I love the fact that people kind of say, oh, I'm not an athlete. I think you are. If you have a body and you can move, you're an athlete in my book.
I'm going to use that and tell
Right?
people I'm an athlete.
You are an athlete.
Okay.
So for me, fitness, I wanted to simplify the entire concept because I think the world we live in, complexity sells. People make things more complex so that people buy into it more. For me, it was the opposite. I believed in keeping things simple because if you kept things simple, people would do it and they'd want to do it. So fitness was very simple. Right? I have two ways of looking at it. One is the ability to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, without second guessing yourself. So tomorrow in the middle of the night, my friends wake me up and say, come on, let's go play a game of football or cricket or whatever. I should be able to go. My age shouldn't stop me. It shouldn't be, oh, no, I have a leg problem. No, I have an ankle problem. No. For me, that is fitness. I was just telling you before this, I have two boys, right? My older one's 9 years old. So when he's 15, say about 6 or 7 years from now, I'll be close to 50. He's obsessed with cricket like I was and like I am. He's not going to beat me, no matter what. He's not going to kick my ass. For me, that is fitness, right? The ability to play with your kid, the ability to be better than them, the ability to kind of push yourself even at a certain age when most people kind of get scared or tired or I'm going to get injured. That's fitness.
Okay. You use a very interesting word, which brings me to my next question. You use the word simple. This is nothing but, there's no word of simple in fitness for the average Joe. And let me explain to you my perspective, and I want your answer on it. Firstly, as with your different ages, with the different sports that you play, with your daily life, whether you need strength training, whether you need mobility and flexibility, whether you need endurance, people are confused about that. Then you have social media and friends driving you nuts saying, listen, man, do high intensity interval training. No, do calisthenics. No, do yoga. Pilates changed my life. There's a new thing called high rocks now, which people are going nuts over. I'm going nuts over hearing all these different types of workouts. And it's very frustrating for the average Joe to navigate through this entire mess. So let me ask you, how would you recommend an individual figures out what they require, whether that be strength or mobility or a combination of something like that, and then choose the right workout and the right routine for them?
Okay, let me try and simplify this answer. Right? It's actually the world of fitness changed in 2009. Right? That was when the CrossFit wave started. Before that, we all just went to a gym and we worked out. We did the same thing, legs, back, chest, shoulders, whatever. 2009 changed that, right? CrossFit came in, everyone wanted to do CrossFit. Fitness suddenly became from, building muscle to I'm not dying yet. If I'm not dying means I've not had a great workout. Right? That's the mentality that people now have. Right? You can train them for 40 minutes, 50 minutes, and they're like, but I'm not dead yet, so then I've not had a good workout. I'm like, no, that's not the way it works. Right? So I'd take them back to basics and I'd say, let's learn the basics first. It's like you walk before you run, you learn the basics. So first, strength train. For me, strength train is the base. After that, whatever you want to do, cool. The mistake people make today is they go into jumping and doing things without even having a base. That's one of the reasons why, I even get upset with some of my students today when they say, oh, we played paddle for 3 hours. Good, I'm happy, you moved, you played a sport, but why 3 hours? Do you have the basic strength to be able to play the sport, right? No, but then injuries happen. So injuries happen only when you don't have a strong base. So for me, with every individual, the first thing I'll do is create that base. Let's get strength training in. After that, I'll kind of see what I can maneuver them in or what they're fond of, right? You might like sport, in which case go play sport. So if I had to kind of really break it down, I'd say strength train and build some endurance with some cardio work, good enough if you want to
But
be
what if
fit.
it's specific? Like, for example, mobility aspect of it, right?
Yeah.
And I play golf as well.
Yeah.
So like the mobility aspect, and I went to a physiotherapist and he said, you're so stiff, we need to
Yeah.
build this flexibility and
Yeah.
mobility. So what I'm asking is, how does an individual figure out what they need?
If I had to break down a week, right, for any individual, so
Yeah.
for you, for anyone who walked in, I'd say go and strength train maybe twice or thrice a week, first thing. Spend a day in a week, either running or playing a sport that you like that is more cardiovascular. And then get 5-10 minutes of some amount of mobility or movement work every single day. And there's tons of exercises you can pick and choose from, right? Work on your hips, work on the hamstrings, work on the glutes, and work on your shoulders and your chest, and you're fine. And split that up into 5 minutes every day. Then if you want to go ahead and do something over and above that, feel free, be my guest. But at least start with the basics and then kind of build on that, is what I would say.
Got it. Another thing that's been driving me mad. This is a very personal interview because there's a lot of this stuff that drives me mad. Biggest fad right now, or one of the biggest fads right now, is wearable fitness technology.
100%.
Everywhere you see it's being marketed to you, everywhere you see someone's wearing something. I'm very skeptical about this space, so I wanted to get your view. What is your view on wearable fitness technology, whether that be the Whoop, Garmin, Apple Watch, or some of the rings that are out there? What's your thoughts on these things?
If you can handle data, which not a lot of people can handle, go ahead. That's the way I look at it. Not a lot of people understand how to interpret data as well. So can you interpret that data in an accurate manner? I'll give you an example, right? I had a student, he was about 22, 23 in college in the US, and he was wearing a Whoop. Right? I used to send him workouts, he used to work out with me, this, that, and the other. He came to me after like a week or 2 weeks of wearing the Whoop, and he's like, bro, take this, throw it. I was like, what happened? He's like, every day it tells me my recovery's in the red. So I was like, but what's the problem? He's like, it's college life, right? I go out, I drink, I eat, I party.
Sleep less.
It tells me I'm in the red, which means I don't work out because then that messes with my head and I don't want to work out. So that's a candidate I wouldn't give a wearable to.
Okay.
Because they are not going to understand what they need to do with it. As opposed to someone like me who can wear it, see, okay, fine, I didn't recover really well last night for whatever reason, and I know my reasons. I will look back and think about it. I'll tone it down a little bit today. Or I'm feeling fine. My data is telling me I've not slept well, but I'm feeling fine. I'm okay. Sometimes you got to listen to your body as well. Your body will give you the sign that you need, right? So for me, can you interpret data correctly? If you can, the wearable's great. I'd love to know how much I slept in the night. I'd love to know whether it was deep sleep. Deep sleep is where your body recovers. REM sleep or rapid eye movement is where your mental stimulus kind of happens and all the information that you've learned through the day is processed. So I'd love to know that kind of stuff. For me, I'm an information geek, so it's great and I want to know it. For some people, they don't want to know. They can't handle it. So then don't wear it, right? So is it a good thing? I think it is. How you interpret and how you look at it is completely up to you or completely up to the individual. So I'm for it. I like wearables, but I would pick and choose the people who should have one.
Okay, fair enough. That makes sense. I'm going to stick to technology. AI, right? Everyone around the world is afraid that AI is going to replace them. I know it's going to replace me at one point of time for sure. What is your view on artificial intelligence in terms of replacing fitness instructors? Will you be replaced one day?
I'm old school, right? I think coaching is you have a coach's eye. There's something called a coach's eye, right? You can look at someone and say, okay, they're not great today. I might be completely wrong, but I don't think AI can do that, right? There's something about a gut feeling when you train someone, when you see them move. You've seen them move over decades or years or whatever it is. You can tell, right? And there's so many times when I've told my son, like, step away. And they're like, but why? I'm feeling fine. I'm like, no, just step away. And then they'd come to me later and they're like, how did you know? I said, you don't look the same today. You don't feel like, I don't see the same quality of movement from you today. And there's nothing I have to base that on. Okay? I don't think AI can replace that. Because AI will give you a program and say, here's your program for the day. You want to do legs? You want to do this? Okay, here's your program for the day. Great, congratulations. But that's just a program. Anyone can write a program. Tomorrow, someone reads a book on fitness, they'll write a program. Right? You look at the coaches or the trainers today on Instagram, how many of them actually have studied fitness? They're writing programs because they became fit from being fat. And I don't think at this point in time, AI can replace that, right? I know how my people feel. I know how they walk in. I can sense what they're feeling based on what I see in front of me. And I don't think that can be replaced.
Social media confuses the hell out of everyone, right? Because nutrition obviously goes hand in hand with fitness.
Yeah.
But then you have social media that's telling you all kinds of diets. All of them are contradictory to each other. Eat every 2 hours? No, do intermittent fasting, right? Don't eat this, eat that. So it's very confusing for an individual to kind of figure out, and maybe not everything is for everyone. So how should one approach the right nutrition and the right diet plan? How does one even get started with it?
Again, like I do with fitness, just keep it simple. I think the one thing that people need to understand is that food's not the enemy. The minute your relationship with food changes, things will change. You've got a certain amount of protein you want to eat every single day. Let's break protein down, because for me, protein is super important. Okay? On an average, you should be getting at least a gram of protein per kilogram of body weight as an individual on a daily basis. That's just to survive. Even if you don't exercise, that's how much you want to get, like a gram. I promise you, 7 or 8 out of the 10 people you meet will not be doing that. You want to actually go up to 1.2, 1.5 when you start training or doing other things, again, from a recovery standpoint. And I'd love to see people do that. Just that basic, right? Have your carbs with your protein. Have your fat with your protein. And when I say carbs, I mean the good carbs. I'm not talking about processed food. I'm not talking about the pizzas of the world every single day, or, pasta and stuff like that. No, get the right carbs in, right? Eat your fruits, eat your vegetables. Something that simple. I look at my parents. My parents, touch wood, 80 plus, perfectly healthy. She goes to court every day. She's 83 years old. She eats the same thing. She has her roti, she'll have her meat, she'll have her vegetables every single day. There was no fast food for them back then. They didn't have 1,000 options. They just ate what they got at home, and they're perfectly fine. So I think that's the important thing when it comes to nutrition, right? Hit your protein, get those numbers in, have your vegetables, have your fruits, and have that source of carb that you like. So whether that's a roti, a chapati, a rice, whatever it is, have it, right? But have it in moderation. Everything is in moderation. Anything, even if it's really good for you, in excess will harm you in some way or the other.
Yeah.
So have it in moderation and stick to that simple principle. I'll touch upon this because it's important to me, and you look at the younger generation today, right? There is so much fear of food. I can't eat this. I can't eat that. I won't eat this. Why? Because I look fat. What? You're 14 years old. Who cares what you look like? No one really cares what you look like. I mean, when I was 14, all I cared about was going to school, playing with my friends, playing my sport, going back home, sleeping, eating whatever I wanted to eat. Today they care, and that's partly to do with social media as well, right? I've had someone come to me and say, can I chew gum all the time? I'm like, why? It's like, it'll make my jawline look good on Instagram. I'm like, really? Like, where did you get that from? Right? But that's what's being fed through social media as well. And I think parents have a big role to play. It's the way we talk in front of our kids also. So sometimes I kind of make a conscious effort never talk about, oh, you're fat, or, you put on weight, or anything in front of my kids, because I'm like, I know they're going to pick up on that, and they're going to look at that as something bad, and then they're going to avoid food. And I didn't want that to happen. So you've got to keep things simple, especially for the younger generation, because I think they have a lot of pressure on them. There's so much pressure and scrutiny on them. They're always being watched. We were never watched. We didn't even have phones when I was growing up in school. So no one really knew what I was doing, where I was, and what I was playing, and what I looked like. So no one really cared. But the kids today, there's a lot of pressure on them. And I hope parents today kind of take that time to sit with their kids and say the right things in front of them. Because when you hear things at home, that's what you copy outside.
Yeah.
So I think that's important even from a nutrition front.
Speaking of nutrition, you've launched a new company, Funclab, which is your venture into the health supplement space. You're currently selling proteins and electrolytes. Tell us about this. Why have you moved into this? And what's the plan for Funclab?
Funclab's been a year in the making as well. Just like Sohfit, it didn't happen overnight. I have two co-founders, Sahil and Danish, my wife. I think two of the most hard-working individuals I've ever come across.
Good thing you're praising your wife.
I don't say that lightly. I have to. But no, seriously, they're just amazing. The one thing you want when you start a venture is that the people you're working with or who are with you in that venture are as invested as you are. And I think those two are just insanely invested in the business. But that's because all three of us believe in it. We really believe there is a gap in the market. Even though it's a super crowded market and there's a new protein supplement every single day, we believe that there is still a gap in the market for quality. I'll talk about electrolytes first. We used to play under 19 together. So Sahil, me, and there were a bunch of boys. And in the drinks break, our form of hydration, if we were lucky, was limbu pani with sugar in it. That was the only hydration we got. Otherwise, it was water. After the game got over, after we got out and we went back into the dugout, it was Glucon-D. Didn't really hydrate much. It was just us putting sugar into our body. So we kind of saw that gap, and it does affect performance. It affects the way you play. You need to be hydrated, right? And hydration is not just pure water. There's more to it. You're sweating. So you're sweating minerals out. You're sweating out sodium, potassium, magnesium. You want to get all that back into the system. And for us, that was a very simple fix. It's also a market that's not really been touched. Not a lot of people. Now, yes, there are people doing electrolytes. But when we kind of started thinking about it, there was not much in the market from an electrolyte perspective. Everything was the same, right? Protein was very simple. I think, every time someone asked me as a coach, like, which protein powder should I have? Because you say I need to get protein, I don't get enough. We're in India, a lot of people are vegetarian. A lot of people are turning vegan all over the world. What protein should they be having? Right? And I never had an answer. I'd be like, yeah, okay, there are a few reputed brands, go ahead and have them. When you actually flip the label and look at the ingredients, you're like, what is this? Right? You read a protein powder, according to me, should just have protein, digestive enzymes, a natural sweetener, and done, over, and the flavor that you want to kind of have. But this had so much more. So that was our question. We were like, are we actually delivering protein? Are people actually having protein, or is that scoop filled with everything else? So the challenge that Sahil had with me was, we kept discussing this, and it was like, can we actually create something that gives people just that, protein, right? Digestive enzymes, protein, a natural sweetener, move on. Right? That's it. The question was, would people accept it? Because people are so big on taste. Would people actually accept it? We felt that there was enough space in the market. We thought that there were enough people now who want to consume the protein and quality protein and want to trust something and someone who can kind of deliver it. So for us, it was about bringing global standards to India, about making sure that we deliver on the hero of a protein product, and the hero of a protein product is protein, nothing else. It shouldn't be anything else. So I honestly believe we give you, if not the highest, one of the highest protein to calorie ratios per scoop. And for me, that's it. I think we've done a good job. Now we let people decide whether we have or not.
Okay, wish you all the best for that new venture. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions quick, and just keep it simple as you like to do. So let's get started. Ice baths, yes or no? If so, how often?
Not a fan.
Not a fan. Okay. Can I ask you why, since it's being sold so heavily?
I think steams and saunas are more effective for me from a recovery standpoint. Ice baths are great. You're an athlete. If you can have access to it every single time, great. Congratulations, do it. But is it drastically going to change your performance? I don't think so. And not for the average guy. Definitely not.
Okay. The biggest myth being sold in the fitness industry today?
Women should not lift weights.
Okay.
Women should just do cardio.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
Is it heavily being sold a lot?
Always. You ask a girl, what are you doing for training? I'm going to run. I'm going to go on the elliptical. I'm going to go on the side. Why? Because I want to lose weight. I'm like, get over this skinny aspect, right? Get strong, and you actually will get so much stronger, and your body will look so much better if you actually lifted weight. I think, and this is my opinion, the only people who tell a girl that she shouldn't lift weight because she will look like a man are insecure men.
Okay, fair enough. What's worse, skipping a warm up or skipping a cool down?
Warm up.
Skipping a warm up. Why? Why? Because a lot of people are talking about cool downs now, post paddle and post events.
I think 90% of the people just wake up from bed and go to a workout. 90% of people sit on a desk all day and go straight into the gym. You need to move. Your body isn't designed or isn't ready for what you're going to make it do.
The go-to excuse people give you on why they're going to skip Sohfit's boot camp or session.
I have so many. The favorite, the one I always laugh with, and the one I always laugh at, is when someone tells me I'm not fit enough to come for camp. I'll get fit first, then I'll come. I'm like, what does that even mean? It's like saying, I want to run a marathon, but I won't run first. I'll swim and then I'll come to the marathon.
I hear
Come, suffer a little bit. You will suffer. Everyone will. It's normal when you start something new. You suffer. This is important. This is an example that I have. Right? It's a real life example. I had a boy called Shahrukh. I love him to death. He's one of the nicest boys, Shahrukh Khatrak. And if he ever hears this, he's going to kill me. He came for camp once. Right? The first time he ever came for camp. He was a big Parsi boy. Came to camp. He was on the turf. First 5 minutes, gassed out. He was on the floor. I looked at one of my coaches. I was looking at him and I said, it's never coming back. I think we've broken him. The boy came back every single day. He just came to me and said, I will show up. You get me fit. I was like, just show up every day. He's like, I will show up every day. He showed up every day. Today, he's one of the fitter guys in camp.
If you could train one person in the world, who would it be?
Well, if I had a wish list, it'd be Rafa Nadal.
Okay, that's a good pick. What's the one fitness rule you break all the time?
I don't take enough rest days.
You don't take enough rest days? What do you recommend for rest days?
I think you should give yourself at least a day off every week. Maybe more, but at least a day.
Maybe time it in the middle of the week or it doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter. I mean, listen to your body.
What's your cheat meal?
Big ice cream fan ever since I was growing up. So anything ice cream is good with me.
All right. What's the one piece of advice you'd give someone who's going to give up their day job to pursue their passion, but they're still waiting for that courage and for that moment?
Well, courage. I'll say this. Okay, Ajay uncle told me this. I'll always remember this. Till I die, I will remember this. I was walking with him on Malabar Hill. We were having our normal morning walks. I hadn't quit yet. And I told him, I said, Ajay uncle, you know what? I'll quit. I'll do this. If it doesn't work out, I'll go back to being a lawyer. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? He sat me down. He said, listen, we don't work like that. You cannot always have a backup plan. Because if you already before you started thinking about what's going to happen if I fail, then you will fail. You set yourself up for it. Think about it as, this is all I have. This is what I need to do. And I need to make this a success, come what may. I have to figure it out. There is no backup for me. This is what I need to do. I think that changed the way I looked at my life. That completely changed the way I looked at fitness and I looked at Sohfit, because I was like, I don't have anything to fall back on now. I'm not going to go back to being a lawyer ever. So this is it. And when you go in with that mindset, you give everything to it. If you've already kind of got the back of your head that if this doesn't work out, this is what I'm going to do, then you've already failed before you started. So for me, that is something that I will never forget.
That's great advice, and I think it's a great point for us to end this conversation. Sohrab, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.